Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
Today we're heading to the Southwest, specifically Arizona.
Beautiful country.
It is. And we're focusing on a really fascinating creature,
Oh, yeah. Which one?
the Apache trout.
Ah, interesting choice.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at some excerpts about the Apache trout. But it's more than just, learning about a fish. It's about understanding what this fish can tell us about an ecosystem.
And in conservation.
Right, and
Yeah.
even cultural heritage.
It's amazing how one species can be so intertwined with so many things.
Exactly. So are you ready to learn about the Apache trout?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so tell us, what is the Apache trout?
Well, the Apache trout is a really unique fish. It's native to Arizona.
Only found in Arizona.
Only in Arizona, yep. High altitude streams.
Oh, wow.
In the White Mountains.
Okay.
So you can imagine those like really pristine,
Yeah.
cold, clear waters. And you find these beautiful golden yellow fish
Oh, wow.
shimmering in the sunlight. They're striking.
That sounds beautiful.
They are, and they're really important, not just as a species, but as a symbol of the biodiversity
Oh, interesting.
of the Southwest.
So beyond just being a fish,
Exactly.
it represents something bigger.
Much bigger.
Okay. And you mentioned this connection to the White Mountain Apache Tribe.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
So the Apache trout has been a part of the White Mountain Apache Tribe's life for centuries, really.
Oh, wow.
It was a very important food source. It was woven into their ceremonies, their stories, their cultural identity.
So it's more than just a source of food.
Oh, absolutely.
It's part of
It's a symbol
their history and their culture.
of their connection to the land, yeah.
Wow. It's incredible how much respect
Right.
they have for nature, and this fish is part of that.
It's a really beautiful example of that.
It is. Which is what makes it even more heartbreaking to hear about its decline. What happened to this beautiful fish that was so important to the Apache people?
Well, like many stories, sadly, human activity played a major role.
Oh, I was afraid you were going to say that.
Yeah. And specifically when European settlers started arriving in the 19th century,
Okay.
things began to change rapidly.
So we're talking what, logging?
Logging,
Mhm.
agriculture, urban development, all of those things
Yeah.
started encroaching on the Apache trout's habitat.
Okay, so we've got habitat loss.
Habitat loss, that's a big one.
But it sounds like more than just habitat loss.
Yeah, because even if there was still some habitat left, the quality of the habitat was degrading. So you had all this logging, agriculture development happening.
Yeah.
It led to sedimentation.
Sedimentation.
Yeah, think about all the soil and the debris running off
Oh, right into the water.
right into the streams, making the water warmer, dirtier,
Yeah.
less hospitable for a fish that needs those pristine, cold conditions.
That makes sense.
And then, of course, there's overfishing.
Right. Taking too many fish.
Putting more pressure on a population that's already struggling.
Yeah, it just seems like one thing after another.
It is. It is. And as if all of that wasn't enough, there's another factor we need to talk about.
Okay, what else could there be?
The introduction of non-native trout species.
Oh, those invasive species. They're always trouble.
Always trouble. So species like rainbow trout and brown trout were introduced into these waters.
But why would people do that?
Sometimes it's intentional. For sport fishing, for example.
Right?
To create new fishing opportunities. Sometimes it's accidental.
Okay.
But regardless of how it happened,
The impact is the same.
the impact is huge because these non-native trout, they're aggressive competitors.
Yeah.
They start competing with the Apache trout for the same resources. Food, space,
Yeah.
and they can also interbreed with the Apache trout, creating hybrids.
So like a mix of the two.
Exactly. And that can really dilute the unique genetic heritage of the Apache trout.
Oh, so it's not just competition for resources.
It's like their very identity as a species is getting muddled.
Mm-hmm. And all of these factors combined led to a really dramatic decline in the Apache trout population, to the point where by the mid-20th century, it was really on the brink of extinction.
That's just heartbreaking.
Okay.
But the story doesn't end there, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Because people realized what was happening,
Yeah.
and they stepped in to help.
Thankfully, yeah. In the 1950s, people started to really recognize the plight of the Apache trout,
Yeah.
and they started to work on conservation efforts.
So who were these people? Who were the heroes of the Apache trout comeback story?
Well, a lot of different groups came together.
Okay.
But I think it's really important to highlight.
Yeah.
The White Mountain Apache Tribe,
Mm-hmm.
they took a leading role in all of this.
And they would know this fish better than anyone.
Exactly.
from their own history and traditions.
Their traditional ecological knowledge was absolutely essential to understanding
Yeah.
the needs of this fish and how to protect it. So it wasn't just a bunch of scientists coming in from
No, it was a collaboration.
the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was people coming together, scientists, conservationists, and the tribe, sharing their knowledge and working together to develop a plan.
I mean, that's got to be challenging, though, right? To bring all these different groups.
Oh, absolutely. There were definitely challenges
Yeah.
trying to balance different priorities, different perspectives.
Yeah.
But, the shared goal of saving the Apache trout really brought people together.
I'd love to hear that. So what did they actually do? I mean, how did they save the Apache trout?
Yeah, so they implemented a whole bunch of different strategies.
Okay.
One really interesting one was building barriers.
Barriers, like what? Fences in the water?
Yeah, well, not fences, but structures within the streams
Oh, wow.
to prevent those invasive trout from reaching the Apache trout's breeding grounds.
So basically separating them.
Exactly, keeping them apart.
Okay.
And then there was a huge effort to remove those invasive trout that were already there.
Oh, wow. Like actually going out and fishing them out.
Yeah, exactly, just getting them out of the Apache trout's habitat.
That sounds like a big project.
It was a big project.
Wow.
And they worked on habitat restoration, so replanting vegetation.
Right. To keep the water clean,
Yep, to reduce erosion.
keep those streams nice and pristine.
Exactly. And of course, they established hatchery programs to raise Apache trout,
Oh, yeah.
genetically pure Apache trout,
Yeah.
to reintroduce them back into their native streams.
It sounds like they really thought of everything.
Yeah, they have.
It was a multi-pronged approach.
It was.
So did it work? Did all that effort pay off?
Well, I wouldn't be telling you this story if it didn't. That's true. Give us the good news.
Good news is, yes, it worked.
Amazing.
In 1973, the Apache trout was actually one of the first species listed under the Endangered Species Act.
Oh, wow.
So, that shows how serious the situation was.
Yeah.
But then, in 2007,
Thanks to all those efforts, the Apache trout was downlisted from endangered to threatened.
so no longer on the brink of extinction.
Exactly.
That is amazing news.
It is. And it's a testament to what can be achieved when people work together, combining scientific knowledge with traditional ecological knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. And that persistence, that dedication
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
really see something through, that's inspiring.
It is.
So, I mean, it's a happy ending for the Apache trout, right?
Well, happy for now.
Right.
But it's still a protected species.
Of course.
And it still needs ongoing monitoring and management to make sure that it continues to thrive.
That makes sense. It's not like we can just declare victory and walk away.
Right, exactly.
We have to stay vigilant.
We do. But what's so amazing about this story is it's not just about the Apache trout, right? It's about the bigger picture.
Right. It's about what we can learn from this, apply it to other conservation efforts.
Exactly. What do you think are some of the biggest takeaways here?
Well, I think the Apache trout really highlights the importance of understanding how everything in an ecosystem is connected.
Yes.
It's like a domino effect. You introduce a new species, even with the best of intentions.
Right.
You never know what the ripple effects might be.
And it can be decades before you see those effects sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's really about thinking long term.
Yeah. And I think the Apache trout is a perfect example of how traditional ecological knowledge can be so valuable. Combining that with modern science, that's how we get the best results.
Absolutely.
So where do we go from here? What can our listeners, everyday people, what can we do to help protect endangered species and preserve biodiversity?
That's the million-dollar question, right? But I think even small actions can make a difference. Learning about local species, supporting conservation organizations, reducing our own environmental footprint.
Yeah, we can all do our part.
We can.
Well, on that note, I think we've done a pretty good job exploring the Apache trout today.
I think so too.
This has been a fantastic deep dive. Thanks to everyone for joining us. And remember, even the smallest actions can help protect our planet's incredible biodiversity.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See you then.